beautiful bookish friends, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my reading wrap up for the month of June, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty successful month compared to the last few months. I was gonna include April and May in this wrap up, but it just didn't seem really relevant or like that it would serve you guys in any way, because I don't have a lot of thoughts on the books that I read. Like, they were pretty average. There were no favorites in there, I don't think, because there just wasn't a lot of reading happening. But now I have, there's a fly in here, so if you see it flying around, it's the cats will get it soon. But I did read a lot of books. If you saw my TBR, you know that during the month of June, I do Reading My Rainbow. It's like a pride themed month for me with my TBR. And I did pretty good. The only books I did not get to were these three. I didn't get to Pandora Gets Vain, House of Furies, or The Ex-Hex, which for me, I thought that was pretty good given how many books I gave myself to read. And currently I'm filming this on the 27th, so there's still a few more days of June left. I'm still listening to Where Dreams Descend, so that would be my red book. And I'm also listening to Learn My Lesson by Katie Robert, just because it was on my library TBR, and I felt myself kind of getting slumpy with a lot of the fantasy that I had read, and yeah, I just wanted something that was like really quick. So I'm in the process of listening to that as well. But let's go through these in the order that I've read them. So my pink book was The Girl from the Sea. This is a little graphic novel. This is my pink book. And I really liked this. It has an art style that I really enjoy. And this one, I definitely feel like, even though it is probably geared toward a little bit of a younger audience, it can be enjoyed by a lot of different people, just because it's all about being 15 and figuring out who you are, who you feel romantically towards. And in this case, there is a little bit of a fantasy element with the girl being from the sea and being a Selkie, so she shape shifts, and what that entails for their relationship. Plus, just, you know, having these moments with your friends where you're not really sure if you want to stay friends with these people anymore, and if you do, what does that mean for you? Like, do you have to act a certain way or not? So I gave this one 4 stars, and I did enjoy it as a graphic novel. I think it functions best as a graphic novel. I don't know that the story would have done well as a regular novel. So next, we have a new favorite on the shelves. This is The Hawthorne Legacy, and I'm obsessed with this series. The entire Hawthorne family. It is very Knives Out, and this time I feel like the first book really was like, okay, here's the plot of Knives Out, but we're gonna make it YA, so we're gonna sprinkle in a little romance, we're gonna pepper in some things, but we're also gonna do this kind of Clue style mystery with all these different things. This one really leaned into the relationship portions and the kind of rich people drama aspect of it. I think it was a lot more that than the other one. The other one included a lot of the media training and not a lot of actual substance. This one, you get a lot of both. It's definitely a lot more her settling into this money, and trying to figure out who she likes and how she feels about them, and them doing the same with her. So I read this in a day, and it was awesome. So this was a 5-star, 4 or 5, high 4, or 5-star for me, because I really enjoyed this book, and I can't wait to read the last one, The Final Gambit. I'm very excited for. So for the yellow book, by the way, that last one was my blue book. I also started Outlander as my blue book, but that hold got returned to the library before I could finish listening to it, because it's 33 hours to listen to. So even on double the speed, it's pretty long. And you really can't double the speed on that one. You really have to pay attention. So I'm gonna finish that one later. Like, I just am waiting to get the book back from the library. The next one was super cute, and I'm really glad I got it, and that was Well Played by Jen DeLuca. This is the second book in the Well Met series. This one is Stacy, who is a side character in the first book. We see her get in a relationship. Now, this one has a little bit, not really a mystery element, but part of it, as soon as this certain conversation happens where she's messaging this guy, like she gets, wine drunk and she thinks she's messaging this guy, you kind of figure out that maybe he's not who he is. I picked up on that really quickly and kind of was like, oh, okay, there's like, maybe that will be the twist. And I won't say if I was right or wrong, but as I was reading it, it was very much like you're kind of this omniscient being knowing like what's gonna happen as things are happening. You're like, she's gonna know, she's gonna find out, and when she does, So I physically read this one. It only took me about 3 days. I really did enjoy it. It was cute. The Ren Fair stuff, it was very cute. And this one actually takes place over the course of like a full year, where the other one was just over the course of a summer. So you get a little bit more substance with the characters in this. And the third book I'm very excited for because they kind of set it up in this one. So I recommend this if you want a nice light summer read. It's not too heavy, but let's just talk about some different things about maybe not being in the right place in your life or not taking chances that you should have taken, and that you're never too old to do those things. The next one was my white book, and it was Daisy Jones and the Six. And let me tell you, I understand why we all hold this book near and dear here on the booktube and the book talks and all that. I read this in a day, and I didn't cry like a lot of people cried reading it, but I can see why you would. I thought this book was going to go a completely different direction than it did, and I'm kind of glad that it didn't. Obviously, it's very heavily inspired by Fleetwood Mac, fans of the 60s and 70s and all that stuff, but obviously very Fleetwood Mac heavy, with the relationships and stuff. I thought that Billy and Daisy were going to be in a relationship the whole time. By the way, I read this physically. A lot of people say listen to it on audio, and I was going to, but I was so excited to read it, I didn't want to wait for my Audible credit. So I read it physically, and it was still very, very enjoyable. But I thought Billy and Daisy were going to like be together and then split up, not her coming into the band later and them just kind of having this like push and pull relationship, this like will they, won't they, and Billy being married and having a kid and everything like that. Like it was just so much different than I thought it would be. And I know the lyrics are in here, but I really wish, well, I mean, we're getting the show, so we're going to get the songs, hopefully. I wish that there would have been like a playlist that, like already existed when this book was published so that you could listen to their songs like while you were listening to it. However, I did listen to Fleetwood Mac while reading this, and it definitely enhanced the experience. But I love that Daisy didn't get sober. This isn't a spoiler, I don't think. Like, she didn't get sober until later in life. Like that decision, like you see she was out of it the entire time, and just all these different people who helped her, who didn't need to help her, and how people screwed her over and everything. So anyway, needless to say, this was a 5 for me. Taylor Jenkins Reid is definitely on the list of authors that I will continuously read from as they come out with books, and I really love this one. Next we have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Now, I had heard a lot of people say that if you liked beach read, you wouldn't like People We Meet on Vacation, or vice versa. I personally really liked this one, and I enjoyed beach read, but I think I liked this one better. I did feel like this was a little long at certain points, and I actually listened to this one on audio. I found a free audiobook of this. So I listened to this on audio, and to be honest, I liked the main character, but there were certain points that she just really got on my nerves. And I think that's what a lot of people had said about it. It was still a 4-star, and I liked that we had this kind of back and forth between present day and then their past trips, and how they got to the point where they weren't talking anymore and the reasons why. But I guess that's where I was kind of like, this, you're an adult, like that makes no sense. like the reason why she wasn't communicating with him anymore was just not good enough for me, and that definitely ding some points off on the characters and the plot for me. However, if you're someone who enjoys traveling cheap and knows that sometimes when you travel cheap or book an Airbnb or all these different things, a lot can go wrong, this is a book that you will enjoy because it definitely highlights those. Then we have The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue has all the bi rep because our boy Monty and Percy, I don't know if he's bisexual or just attracted to men, but Percy's attracted to both. This was a super fun one if you're on the Bridgerton train like everybody else. And also the epilepsy representation here was much different than I expected, and very well done, I thought. But I like how they set up the series because there is 3 books in this series, and I'll definitely be reading the Lady's Guide to Piracy and Petticoats. But I really like how Monty was this very roguish kind of trying to get out of Dad's shadow, but also doing everything against him. It just had a really fun twist, and I think was a really fun book. It's 500 pages, and I listened to it in like a day because I just couldn't stop listening to it. It moves very quickly, and this one also, like this particular one that I have, has a bunch of notes in the back about queer culture at the time that this book is written and what it meant and how France was kind of this hotbed for promiscuity and all these different things. So it's very cool to hear some of the history as well as getting, this really fun historical romance adventure type. There was a lot more adventure in here than I thought I was getting. So that was super fun. Last book that I finished as of today was Mexican Gothic, and I was super disappointed with this book just because I don't mind horror, but I don't like gross horror the way they portrayed it. Like, and the twist I got within her stepping into the house, I don't know if that was meant to happen, like we were supposed to know like what was happening before she did and kind of it be like suspenseful for us as to when she was going to find out. But I don't know, like by the time I got to the end, I was like, this is so gross. I don't like this. This was a 3-star for me. It's well written and I like that it was short, but some of the things I didn't like, and the way they were described, which I know is supposed to make you feel gross and ewy and whatever, but certain things I just can't, I don't know, it makes my skin crawl in a way that I don't find enjoyable. There are certain things where I'm like, oh, that was so gross, but like I needed to be grossed out. This, I don't know that it served it in the way that it thought it did, and it, some of it felt really drawn out. So I am not on the hype train for this. I'm actually going to unhaul this book, so I'm going to list this on Pango if anyone's interested. But that's it for the month of June. I had a lot of books to get through. Hopefully you guys had a good reading month and have been taking care of yourselves with everything that's going on. Lately, I am over it, let me tell ya. So, yeah, that's it for me. I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.